Welcome, everybody, to the call. This is Daniel White at DW, coming live from Denver, Colorado. And this is the Doctor's Clinic call, where the entire world is your waiting room. We're having some interference, so we may all have to hang up and call back in. We will let you know. Yeah, or, Doc, it might be your call, your phone doing a double reverb thing.
I'm okay. Hang on. Is that better?
Well, yeah, Doc, it's really good. Buddy, you just heard the man. That's Dr. Kurt Fisnick. We've got a great call for you. We've got some people we want you to hear about and hear from. And Dr. Kurt, we appreciate you and what you're doing. We've been talking about all things cancer and how people can regenerate their cells and stop putting toxins on their body, which escalates, challenges and compromises the body. We've been talking about how to extract all the way from heavy metals to multiple things and help with free radicals that are in the system and give somebody a fighting chance when it comes to building their immune system and taking on some of the rough challenges of life. And Doc, welcome to the call, buddy. And I'm going to flip it to you, so let's go.
Hey, well, DW, thanks for having me on the call. I really look forward to Tuesday every week. I look forward to this call because it's one of those times where I get to really bring out a lot of my stuff as far as being a doctor. I try and keep up on the research, even though I don't practice as a physician anymore. I keep up with all the research, and my goal is really to help the world eradicate this whole cancer thing, and so that's one of my goals. That's one of the things that I'm trying to be a part of, and really, like I tell people, we're in a revolution. We're in a revolution against aging. We're in a revolution against death. Who wants to die sooner? Nobody. And so the more we know, the better we can help other people. So today, DW, I spent some time a few hours ago with my parents, and sometimes it's hard to get them on a call. They've got a lot of things going in their life, which is really cool. I mean, you figure somebody two people who are almost in their 80s, and they got so many things going on, it's hard to get them on a call. So what I did is I interviewed them, and I'd like to play that. It's just an 8-minute interview. Mom has been beating colon cancer now for 8 years. She just went and had that checkup, and I'll let her say what she has to say about it. And my dad, of course, I mean, he's been beating a rare form of lymphoma, and so we talk a little bit about that. And again, I always make sure and say we never say cure, we never use the word cure, and we don't talk about treatments, anything like that. All we're doing is we're helping the body optimize the function. We're trying to make it so that it does what it's supposed to do. Real simple. And so hang on 1 second. I'm gonna pull that interview up here. So hang on 2 seconds.
All right, Dr. Kurt, can you hear me, buddy?
Yep. Tell me if you can hear this recording here.
I cannot. So what we're suggesting from our engineer, Rob, you'll need to call back in, and then we'll kick things in again. I'll share a couple things with everybody while you're calling back in.
Okay. Can you bring Sarah Cully on? She wants to share her interview, and I'll figure out how to get this thing to play.
Well, you can also send it over to Rob, and maybe he can get it to play as well.
Okay. Get Sarah on. I'll send this over to Rob.
All right, everybody. Every now and again, you run into what we call technical challenges and/or difficulties. And we're running into one tonight, so we'll just kind of maneuver around that. But Sarah Colley, are you with us tonight? Sarah Colley, can you hear me? You should be available. There you go.
You got me there. I hit the *6. I wasn't sure if that. I was having technical difficulties on my end too, guys. So.
Well, we're glad to hear from you and your testimony and what's has happened to you and what you're going through and how you're handling things. A lot to do with prayer, a lot to do with attitude, a lot to do with positive thinking, and then you backed it up with some products.
Absolutely.
Pretend like you're talking to someone at their, in the living room, and you're sitting on one couch and they're sitting on the other, and that person's going through the same thing that you went through. What would you say to them?
First of all, I tell them to take heart, that there's hope, that getting that big C cancer diagnosis is not as scary as people make it out to be. That's the first thing to do. Don't buy into the negativity. Keep a positive attitude and look at your options. And I've had that conversation, DW, with a lot of people. My situation, a lot of people don't understand that breast cancer is not just one specific disease. It's made up of a lot of different things. And my particular case, I was an anomaly. I'm not the average breast cancer patient. Most breast cancer patients are estrogen-driven, and I'm sure most people have heard that because they talk about, endocrine disrupting, estrogen-driven things, and the hormone replacement and blah, blah, blah. But I was what's called a triple negative. My cancer was not spurred by progesterone, estrogen, or the HER2 protein. So it's called a triple negative. And it had gotten into my lymph system, so it was metastatic, even though it had not shown up in another organ at that point. So I was labeled 3B, so just before stage 4 cancer, and was only given about 18 months with the type of cancer that I had.
And that's a massive, massive challenge,
Yeah, and, I knew that we were going to have to...
Let's go back to something you said, because you talked about attitude. When someone is, they're sitting in the doctor's office and he tells them, however they would tell you, there's multiple different ways that it can go down, but I'm sorry to tell you, but, there's, thousands of people hear this every day. Hate to tell you this, but you have cancer, or you're challenged with cancer, or we've got some, the biopsies are done. A buddy of mine took a biopsy Monday. We're waiting to find out what's going on with him. And, he lives out in Indiana, and Aaron and I met him along with a lot of other people when we were there, doing a mini masters event. So your mind just goes nuts. So what you're saying is take heart, kind of basically, don't be anxious, just get your mind under control and focus on solutions versus on, picking out a funeral plot type thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, my attitude was, when they told me, I was very calm about it, because it is what it is. I can't go back in time and make any adjustments to figure out, how to prevent this thing from ever occurring in the first place. I had no risk factors. I had none of the risk factors that they constantly try to educate us about. At the time, I wasn't overweight. We won't talk about that now. I was healthy. There was no cancer in the family. There was just no history. I didn't meet any of the risk factors to be sitting in that office and having what I had. So my attitude was, okay, this is what it is. Now what? What's our next step? What are my options at that point? And you will get a plethora of advice, so to speak. The conventional medical community is going to try to steer you in one direction. You're going to have friends and relatives that will probably be more scared for you than you are. And there's just so much out there on the internet and everywhere else. So my advice is just take a deep breath. This didn't happen overnight. Then unless they're so fearful that they don't cut this stuff out of you tomorrow, you don't have, a 2% chance, in a windstorm. Just relax. Take it in. Look at all the information. Pray about it. Look over it. And the best thing you can do is figure out what's right for you in your situation. Because, like I said, everybody with breast cancer has different options. And I had options. I did not want to go through chemotherapy. I just couldn't see myself doing it. But my mother-in-law, who's a registered nurse, And my husband, who was going to rely on her expertise and what he'd heard, they encouraged me to go that route. The first thing was to do, obviously, is to cut out the tumors and then look at the chemotherapy regimen that I was going to take.
Well, one thing I've learned about just in some studying I've done this last couple of weeks, the chances of someone going through chemotherapy, it lowers your body's risk of getting an infection and or raises your body's risk. I know you have a massive chance of getting infections. And, you know, with all the stuff that can happen out there, we can help somebody when it comes to, you know, building up their immune system and, you know, sometimes even in between treatments or before the treatment starts or when the treatments are done. Whatever the doc's doing, if you're going to go to traditional medicine and have them do their thing there, some of the damage that's done with our products, we have an opportunity to give someone a little bit of hope in restoring the body and getting it all back. Because a lot of chemos kill everything. They don't just kill the bad stuff; they kill it all.
And that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to kill everything off, and it does lower your immune system so that you're susceptible to other infections and stuff that are out there. I only went through 3 rounds of chemo. When they decided on a course of action for me, I was an anomaly, like I said, and they were very aggressive with what they did. Unfortunately, the cocktail that they put me on, they told me up front I had to have a catheter thread into my heart for the chemotherapy, the intravenous one, to go straight into my heart. And they said I would get heart damage. They told me that because the intravenous chemo that I was getting was very new. It had only been out for about 5 years when I got it. And they said that the oral that I got was going to help with the aggressive, the metastatic part of the breast cancer that had gotten into my lymph system. Unfortunately, my body did not react well to the chemo, and by the time the 3rd round came through, I was like a vegetable sitting on the couch. I could not form thought. Wow. I couldn't talk. My hands and feet began to blister, and I didn't lose my hair, DW. I lost my nails. I lost my fingernails.
My goodness.
My toenails. And it was a scary perspective to look at. And I was like, after I took that last dose, my daughter, I remember the time was 15, and she looked at me and she was trying to talk to me, and I couldn't speak to her. She called my husband immediately, and we went straight into the doctor's office, and the doctor turned about pale and was like, your liver's shutting down, your kidneys are shutting down, the chemo's killing you, the breast cancer's not killing you, the chemo's killing you. And I went back into the hospital, and they did some type of detox and stuff, and I made the decision right then and there I wasn't having any more. I wasn't going to do it. I was going to find a way holistically to heal my body. And if the cancer came back, it came back. If it went somewhere else, it went somewhere else. But I wasn't going to die from the treatment. And,
correct.
We don't know what we don't know. And that's why the Maurer mission and the products that we have are so vitally important to anyone facing any type of health challenge. I can't tell you that these products are going to cure you. I can't tell you that they're, and neither can a doctor if he gives you an antibiotic. Let's be, frank about it. We have a reasonable amount of understanding based on the trials and stuff that they've done with the products that we have, the different ingredients that Tom has put together of what it can possibly do to help support us. But nobody can make those kind of claims whatsoever. Even them giving me the chemo, they couldn't tell me that they were going to fix the cancer. As a matter of fact, they knew they weren't. They were just trying to sustain me to give me, quote unquote, a quality of life as long as they thought. Because they really thought with what I was diagnosed with, I had about 18 months was all they were giving me, with the chemo and so forth. And we're coming up on 10 years.
And I got to listen to a doctor talk the other day, and he said about 7, maybe 10 years from now, we're going to look back at what we did in the medical industry when it came to chemo, and we're going to talk about that was like it's just horrible. He said it's going to be obsolete. It's not going to be covered because of the damage it causes to people.
That's it. That's what I'm dealing with. That's all I'm dealing with now.
Here's what blows me away. If you take something natural, you're an idiot. But if you take chemo and poison your body, wow, you're just so things are backwards. I mean, getting back to what you're talking about, coming with a philosophy that, boom, you focus on what you want to have happen. You get a good attitude. You get a control of your mind. And then you start putting some things in your system. Now, did you, since then and going through all that, have you found the Ficoidin to be a help to you?
Absolutely. I would not go a day without that product.
Okay.
There's not one day I would go without that product. And now that Tom has come out with Avenger, that's another product because Doc posted something the other day that is so crucial about the biofilm. Because think about in your lifetime whether you had a sinus infection or you had a surgery or for whatever reason you had to get on some type of pharmaceutical or antibiotic. And that residual mess is sitting around in your system. And with the Avenger, it helps scrub that stuff out of there so that your body can begin to work the way it needs to work. Another product that I use is Body Shield because of its effect to help, again, scrub some of the toxic things that are in our environment, keep them out of the system. We can't 100% get away from the toxins, unfortunately, because our water supplies have it, our air has it, our food has it, and we do the best we can. And thank God with the products that Tom has, I can scrub my vegetables, I can filter my water, and I can take supplements and do everything I know to do to help prevent the toxic overload that so many people are exposed to on a daily basis. And I believe 100% that with these products, it has allowed me to go past the 5-year mark, and now I'm coming up on the 10-year mark. And my doctors are astonished that I'm here. They're astonished that, really, I'm a walking miracle, and I'm thankful for it.
Well, when you start eating clean and eating proper, you start getting the attitude where it needs to be, and then you do what you can when it comes to supplementation, and then you no longer put toxins on your body, and you use those nutraceuticals to help extract them out of your body, you give yourself a winning chance. What's your 3 top products that you like the best with Sisel?
The triangle, I don't even like to isolate the Ficoidin out of the 3. The Triangle of Life is my go-to product.
It's just what it is. It's the triangle.
It is what it is.
Triangle of Life.
I won't be without it. And the Sisel, because it's a clean protein that your body assimilates so well. I wouldn't be without that product.
And it has to do with absorption. A lot of people don't realize that when someone's going through chemo, they're going through these challenges, cancer, doctors want you to get protein in your system. Everything is being, it's being stripped away, and you want to put it back faster than it's being stripped away. And our Sizzling, which delivers protein over a 7-hour period, is given protein and nutrition to the muscles. It is muscular nutrition, so it's a game changer. Sarah, we appreciate you being on the call tonight. We may call at you here in just a second, but, Dr. Kurt Fizz, we got that tape keyed up, and it's ready to roll. And so, Kurt, Doc, anything you want to say before we run the tape?
Hey, I'm ready to listen. Let's play it.
Well, it's your mom and dad. They went through some challenges, and I think we can add on it here at the end. And so we're ready to go. Rob's keying it up now.
I'm sitting here with my parents, and I wanted to get them on the call tonight to just really kind of tell their story, their story of how they've both been so far doing really good with beating cancer and doing really well. So I'm going to go to my dad first and just ask him a couple of questions. And this is a recording because they were over here at the house this afternoon, so it made it easier for me to do it this way. Dad, when you first got diagnosed with your cancer, when they said it was lymphoma, right?
Yeah.
Back then they didn't really have, I guess what I'm going to say, a very good outlook for you, did they?
No, one of the nurses told me to get my affairs in order. So,
That was a doctor.
Oh, that was the doctor? Okay. One of the doctors told me to get my affairs in order.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I was there when they asked you if you had your will ready.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You know, and then when you said that you did, she said, good, you're going to need it.
Okay.
But, you know, and so that's one of the things that bothers me, because there's a lot of people who have really beaten cancer, and we can never say cure or treat or anything like that. But when I'm talking about cancer, I mean, there's one thing that people can say. I mean, they can say, in their opinion, you know, this has helped me or that's helped me. I mean, so in your opinion on the different things that we have you taken, and we'll talk a little bit about that, what's your opinion of things, how things are going with the things that we're using?
Well, I'm doing good. Doing good.
Yeah. Earlier this year, back in you know, almost a year ago in January, I mean, they were telling you that your liver was causing trouble, your kidneys were causing trouble, and at that time the cancer numbers were actually getting worse again. And here now, you were just at the doctor, you know, within the last month or so, and what are they saying now? What are they saying about your kidney?
Oh, my kidneys are back to normal, and kidneys and liver are all back to normal.
You bet. And that was a turnaround in about, you know, less than 90 days, really, once we got you taking the right things.
Yeah, I guess it was about that.
You know, from January until April, when I went down to Mayo with you, that was when we saw that big change. You know, and one thing that I do want to point out is that, you know, you've been on chemo, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I point that out to people because, you know, I'm a doctor, but I don't pretend to be your doctor, and you had to make that decision on what you're going to do. So then the products that we have you on, I mean, they haven't interfered with your chemo in any way, have they?
No, they haven't. No.
And you know, and I guess I think it's kind of funny. What's your answer on it when people say, you know, what does your doctor say about you taking the products?
I don't tell them.
Yeah, and sometimes I kind of chuckle at that, but in a way, sometimes that's good, because then they're not going to try and talk to you about taking and getting off of them. A story that I heard earlier today from a friend of mine down in Australia was her friend got diagnosed with cancer, and she was taking the same products that you are, and went into the hospital, and didn't tell the doctor, or maybe did tell the doctor, I can't remember which, but they started the chemo, and the patient's lips turned as black as your coat. And right away the doctor said, well, yep, that's that fucoidan stuff you're taking. That's what's causing that. And so they forced the patient to go off of the Sisel products, and it didn't get any better. In fact, it got worse. So then they switched doctors, and the doctor told them to go back on the product, and went off the chemo, and guess what? The blackness in her lips went away, right? And so in some cases, maybe you are better off not telling the doctor what you're taking, because then they're not going to tell you not to take it.
Yeah, that's the way I feel.
Yeah, and now, you know, I mean, earlier this year, you were really, my opinion is that you were really losing a lot of muscle mass. You were looking, you know, your muscle mass. You were looking like you were aging pretty good, losing lean muscle. And what have you noticed now since the course of the summer, really?
Well, got my energy back from doing things pretty steady. So
yeah.
Gaining a little strength back, gaining some strength back.
Yeah, and you look like you put muscle back on. Wouldn't you say that, Mom?
Yeah.
You can see it. You can see it. And what's your cancer numbers? I mean, you don't have to tell me exactly what they are, but compared to where they were, Man, are they getting better? Are they getting worse?
Definitely gotten better.
They are so low.
Yeah, there's a big improvement from my last checkup. So
there you go. And so, I mean, my hope is that we just keep keeping them getting lower and lower and lower. And again, I can never say cure or treat or anything like that. But you guys, you know, since it's your story, you can always say, hey, in my opinion, this is what's going on. And Mom, I mean, you were diagnosed with colon cancer a number of years ago, and I know you had some surgery. You never did any radiation. You never did any chemo for it. And you've just been doing the natural products that I've been recommending. And in your opinion, I mean, how do you think your cancer's going?
Fine. I don't have any cancer.
Yeah. And you went and had a checkup, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And what did they say?
I was fine.
Yeah, they couldn't find any signs of cancer anywhere, could they? Yeah. And I mean, compared to those people that you know, and I mean, you're both in your 70s. You know people who've had cancer.
Yes.
And you've watched them go downhill. How have you been as far as, like, when you watch other people that have cancer, is it kind of surprising that when you look at yourselves, you're really not going down that same road?
Exactly. Yeah, we feel we're very fortunate.
Yeah. And you never, what I call that cancer look, you know, when people start turning gray, their skin turns gray. I mean, we've never seen that in either one of you.
No.
Right? And even with my brother, with Chris, you know, I mean, wow, I mean, on just a couple of days ago, he even looks good, and he's only been diagnosed for less than 3 months.
Right.
You know, so
yes.
his numbers are doing really well too, and you know, and hopes are that we'll beat this thing for all of you. And I mean, for people who may be listening onto the call or maybe listening to the recording, I mean, what's your advice to them as far as the products that we have?
Take them.
Yeah, I guess that's all I can say. Take what's recommended.
Right. And sometimes it might seem like there's a lot of stuff to take, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Right?
Tired of taking pills.
Right? But it's a lot better than being sick.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right. Well,
the juice is easy.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, and I think it tastes good.
Yeah, it's good tasting juice.
So I could drink a glass of it every morning if I could. So, well, thanks for sharing that, and I'll get back on the call now. But that's just a recording I did. So hang on. So DW, my dad turned 79 here in just a few days. I mean, he's looking fantastic. His liver, his kidneys, as you heard him say, the doctors at Mayo are they're just totally whacked out, surprised, because in January of this year they told him that he'd need a liver transplant and he was going to have to end up on kidney dialysis. Here it is now. They're just, I mean, he's not on chemo anymore. He hasn't been on chemo since April, and he just keeps getting better and better and better. So they can't even take the credit for it, and that's probably the reason that they're a little bit upset with him, because they can't take the credit because they're not doing anything. But it's really cool. I mean, since we put him on the 4 Restore, he swears by that product. I mean, his muscle mass has come back. He and I were sitting there talking here about 3 weeks ago, and he kind of, when Mom left the room, he said, hey, can you get me a bottle of that for her? She needs to get on that. And so we got both Mom and Dad on 4 Restore now too. So it's amazing, DW. I just have to say it's amazing. And as we move forward, I know we're just going to have better and better products. And the whole thing is that all the top researchers in the world are saying if we can just stay healthy for the next 15 years, we're going to have the answers to a lot of these questions. 15 years, people. Just stay healthy. Back to you, DW.
Well, I tell you what, Doc, what a great call. And, man, your mom and dad, what a blessing. I know you love them with all your heart, and they love you back, and your brother. And you guys are just an amazing family. And, so it's good to hear the good reports. And when you have people that are on the basics, so the basics are real simple, just so everybody can kind of grab a hold of this. Just stop it already by putting toxic stuff on your body. Watch what you're eating and quit putting the toxic junk in your mouth and eating it. I mean, it's just real simple. It's not going to serve you very well at all. And it's kind of regret is when you wish you could make a difference, back in the day. Well, today's back in the day for you, because 10 years from now, this will be back in the day. So make the decision now, today, to do what Sarah's talking about, to do what Doc Kurt's mom and dad did, and start filling your body with the things. Honestly, I'm going to say it like this, that God meant you to have. In our SpectraMax, 74 essential trace minerals, just jammed full of antioxidants, 40 major antioxidants in it. And it is a game changer, one of Tom's favorite products. But as Sarah mentioned earlier, don't compromise. Don't cheapen your results. Take all the Triangle Life. Hit heavy doses of the Ficoidin. And in our resveratrol, the reports coming out on that, on fighting very peculiar or rare type cancers is absolutely, fantastic. It's one of the defense mechanisms that some docs are really, really looking into. And so you've got your hands on something fantastic. And that's the Maurer mission in what we're doing with these products. Well, that's it for the doctor's call tonight. Rob Cohan, you made things happen that only you can do. Everyone wants to know sometimes who the wizard is behind the curtain. It's Rob Cohan, my friends. And he's got some battles on his hands, so you throw up prayers for him, and he's using products, and we're just believing for great things to happen with him as well. And everybody, we're just going to be here next Tuesday, same place, same time. And we're asking you to bring someone with you to the doctor's clinic where you can learn a few little things to help you get by, and where the world is your waiting room, and you can sit there and share with them, what we have our hands on. Instead of synthetics and narcotics and medicines, which we use for emergencies, we have also nutraceuticals and that just make a massive difference, in your system. And the side effects are getting healthier and feeling better while you do it. That's it for the Doctor's Clinic. Thank you for being part of it. And everybody have a blessed week.